I bought a house. Outside the HOA. Karen couldn't handle it. Imagine buying your dream home. The perfect yard, a quiet street, and no pesky HOA rules breathing down your neck. But the moment you move in, your next-door neighbor, HOA Karen, comes storming over, screaming that you don't belong there. She waves papers, threatens to call the cops, and even yells, "You can't live here." But little does she know, I had the ultimate card up my sleeve. Stick around because this story will make you laugh, gasp, and maybe even cheer out loud. But before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss stories like this one. Now, let's get into it. When I bought my new house, I thought it was going to be a peaceful start to a new chapter. The property was beautiful, a large backyard, a cozy porch, and best of all, no HOA. I had dealt with homeowners associations before, and let me tell you, they can turn the simplest joys of life into a battlefield. Too many stories about fines for the wrong shade of curtains or being forced to remove a flower bed because it didn't fit community standards. This time I chose wisely. My house sat just outside the HOA-controlled neighborhood. Same street, same style, but technically free. It was perfect for me. I could garden how I liked, paint my shutters any color I wanted, and let my dog run around without constant complaints. But there was just one problem. My next-door neighbor, the self-appointed queen of the HOA. Let's call her Karen. From the moment she saw the moving truck, she was lurking, arms crossed, phone in hand, glaring like I had stolen her parking spot at the mall. I brushed it off, thinking maybe she was just nosy. I had no idea what was coming next, because to Karen, my arrival wasn't just new neighbors moving in. It was a direct threat to her kingdom, and she was about to make that crystal clear. The very first day I moved in, before I could even unload all my boxes, Karen marched right up to my porch. Her heels clicked like she was marching into battle, and her voice carried across the street. "You can't live here," she shouted before I could even say hello. Confused, I blinked. Excuse me?" "This neighborhood has rules," she snapped, "and I don't know how you bought this house, but I'm the president of the HOA, and I will not allow you to break them." I tried to be polite. "Ma'am, this house isn't in the HOA. I checked before I bought it. I'm not under your rules." The look on her face was priceless, a mix of disbelief and rage. She pulled out a folder from under her arm, waving papers at me like they were holy scripture. "Don't lie to me. Every house on this street belongs to the HOA. I'll fine you if you don't comply." Now, I'm not one to get pushed around, but I figured maybe she was misinformed. I calmly repeated, "I'm not under the HOA. This property is separate." She leaned closer, her face turning red. "We'll see about that," she hissed before storming back to her house. I should have known right then. This was only the beginning. The next few weeks were, let's just say, eventful. Karen made it her mission to remind me that I didn't belong. One morning, I found a letter taped to my door, an official violation notice. According to her, my trash cans weren't placed properly. Another day, she screamed across the yard that my dog's barking was against community quiet hours. She even came by demanding I cut my grass exactly to HOA length. Each time I calmly reminded her, "I'm not in your HOA. You can't fine me. You can't tell me what to do," but Karen wouldn't let it go. She escalated, calling the cops on me, claiming I was violating HOA rules. The officers showed up, looked at the paperwork I had ready, and told her flat out, "This property isn't under your HOA jurisdiction. There's nothing we can do. You'd think that would settle it, right? Wrong." Karen doubled down. She started gossiping with other neighbors, spreading lies that I was a rule breaker and a problem tenant. She even tried to block my driveway one day with her car, insisting I had to go to the HOA board for approval to use it. At this point, I realized she wasn't just being nosy, she was obsessed. And if I didn't do something, she was going to make my life miserable. One Saturday afternoon, things hit a boiling point. I was outside painting my shutters a bold, deep blue, a color I had always wanted but could never use back when I lived under HOA rules. As I stepped back to admire my work, I heard it. A blood-curdling scream. "Stop! You can't do that!" Karen stormed across the yard, waving her HOA binder like it was a weapon. "This color is not HOA approved. Repaint it immediately or I'll have you fined." By now, I was done playing nice. I set down my brush, pulled out my folder of legal documents, and held them up. "Karen, listen carefully. This property is not in your HOA. Here's the deed. Here's the map. Here's the city record. You have no power here." "None," she sputtered, shaking with rage. "That's impossible. You can't just move in and ignore the rules. Everyone has to follow them." "Everyone under the HOA," I corrected, calm as ever. "But not me." She grabbed her phone, threatening to call an emergency HOA meeting. That's when the neighbors, who had been watching the drama unfold, started laughing. One by one, they chimed in. "He's right, Karen. His property's outside the HOA boundary. Leave him alone already." The humiliation on her face was undeniable. For the first time, she had no comeback. She stormed off, red-faced and defeated. After that day, Karen finally backed off. Maybe it was the embarrassment of being called out in front of everyone. Or maybe she realized she had lost her imaginary battle. Either way, the harassment stopped. I got to live in peace, enjoying my blue shutters, my garden, and my freedom from HOA nonsense. The other neighbors? They started coming around, introducing themselves, even joking about Karen's meltdown. Turns out many of them didn't like her bossy attitude either. They were just too scared to speak up. Funny enough, some even confessed, "We wish we were outside the HOA like you." And me? I couldn't help but smile every time I looked at my house. Not only had I escaped the nightmare of HOA control, but I had also stood my ground against the self-proclaimed queen of the block. Karen thought she could scream, threaten, and bully me out of my home. But in the end, all she did was expose her own arrogance. And that's how I turned what could have been a neighborhood nightmare into the sweetest victory, simply by knowing my rights and refusing to let Karen control me. And that's how HOA Karen learned the hard way that she can't control everything, especially not me or my house. Sometimes people let power go to their heads so much that they forget the most important rule of all. Respect your neighbors. I bought my home fair and square, I knew my rights, and I refused to be bullied. In the end, the truth always wins. And Karen? Well, let's just say she won't be screaming, "You can't live here," ever again. So if you enjoyed this story and love seeing justice served, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. And hey, drop a comment below. Have you ever had a neighbor like Karen? I'd love to hear your stories. Thanks for watching, and remember, stand your ground, know your rights, and don't let anyone tell you where you do or don't belong. See you in the next video.